Abel's and Bears back with another dose. Hope you're doing well. We've got a lot to get caught up on here, folks. The latest warning on the economy is Home Depot. They're warning against homeowners are growing fatigued. In other words, the usual customers, the homeowners that were upgrading their homes, making improvements, have really slowed down making those improvements, right? That tells you, or at least should tell you, that there are some problems out there. When people hear that somebody owns a home, they often think, oh, it's somebody wealthy because homes are so expensive. Well, a lot of times these people, especially people that bought in the past few years and barely scraped up a down payment, in some cases no down payment, a lot of these people are house poor. They're struggling just to make their monthly mortgage payment. And yes, you could say it's better than renting, but it is a struggle for a lot of homeowners. We're going to get into that and a little bit more later on here in this report. We're going to talk about what Home Depot said. But take a look at the big picture, folks. We're seeing nothing but threats of more inflation. Threats of more inflation, right? Powers that be, the quote-unquote leaders, calling for lower interest rates, trying to find ways to stretch out the payments to make payments a little bit lower. But that's not going to it's not going to help affordability. Right? It's going to make prices go higher. So if you stretch out a car loan from 60 to 84 months, yes, the payment will go down. But is that going to make the car price go down? No, it's actually going to make prices go up because more people now will be able to get into that lower payment. And on top of that, the amount of interest that you pay at the end of it is going to be a lot more. So the bank is winning, the consumer not really winning. I mean, you can look at a lower payment as winning, but in the end, it's not winning. You're paying a lot more in the end. Same thing with the 50-year mortgage, right? Let's just hear from somebody giving their thoughts on this, the 50-year mortgage, and then we got a lot more news to get to on the other side. Take a listen to this, though.
This is hard truth. The affordability crisis is not solved by kicking the can down the road. We're just delaying the pain and making everything more expensive. A 50-year mortgage isn't making housing more affordable. It's just hiding the true cost that you're paying to the bank. We need to be honest here. We're treating the symptoms instead of curing the disease. The disease is that costs have skyrocketed, but wages haven't. We've created a system where people feel that they have no choice but to go into a tremendous amount of debt just to afford basic needs. And until we address the root causes of this broken system, housing supply, wage growth, and the cost of living, we're just putting Band-Aid on a gunshot wound.
Well said, definitely. And that's why I like to hear from these other people that put themselves out there in social media, because they'll say the same things, but they'll say them in a different way, right? So what did he say? He said, we're treating the symptoms and not the disease, right? I've heard that phrase. I've never used that on this channel, though, but that's a very good way to put it. He also said something that I like to say. We're treating, I say we're treating a broken leg with a Band-Aid. He said gunshot wound. Either way, same thing, right? We're not fixing the problem. We're just masking over it, and we're just treating the symptoms, like he said. The symptom of things being too high in price are high payments. So stretching the loan out to make the payment a little bit lower, it's not fixing the problem, folks, right? A Band-Aid on a broken leg, whatever you want to call it, that's what it is, folks. And we see this current administration just kicking the can down the road, doing nothing to address the underlying issues. In fact, making things worse. Things that seem like they're good and helpful on the surface, oftentimes they're worse. When people see their payment go down a little bit with a 50-year mortgage, sure, they'll say, oh, this is great. My payment's lower. What could be better? Folks, you're not likely going to pay off the home. If you buy a home at the average age now, the average home buyer is 40 years old now because of the prices are so high. You're going to pay it off at 90, right? And that's if you don't take out home equity lines of credit. So in other words, most of these people buying the home today at the median age of 40 will not ever pay off their loan. Now, some people will say, JJ, you're not looking at the big picture. Most people don't keep their home. They end up selling it. The average is 7 years when they refinance or sell the home. So then they're saying to me, it doesn't matter how long the mortgage is because most people don't keep the mortgage for the full 50 years. Again, they sell their home, they refinance, whatever. Well, my question to you then, if you're one of the people that says this, if that's your side or view on this, I would say, okay, then if the 50-year mortgage doesn't matter, why stop at 50? Right? Why not make it 70 years? Why not make it a 100-year mortgage? If it only is going to be around for a few years, then great, let's do a 500-year mortgage and get everybody's payment down to a few dollars. And you know what's going to happen? No one's going to gain any equity in their home because the amount of interest you're going to be paying is so high, so much, even though the payment's lower, but more of that payment's going to go towards interest because you have such a big loan, such a large length loan. You see what I'm saying here? So you got to think about things in a common sense, right? If a lower payment was always better, then just stretch the payment out as long as you can for decades, right? 100 years, 500 years. I mean, come on, where does it end? So let's bring this back down to a little bit reality, folks. Lowering the payment, stretching out the number of months is not any solution. Even though some people are acting like this is great, that's not a solution. Lower interest rates, not a solution. It's not going to bring the price down. It's not going to bring the cost of living down, even though the payments will be a little bit less. People need to stop looking at the payments and start looking at the big picture. Yes, payments are important because people are living paycheck to paycheck, but now that they've got you trapped in this paycheck to paycheck mindset, they've got you focused on just the monthly payment without looking at the long term, the big picture that you'll never actually pay it off the way things are going. All right, we've got somebody that wants to chime in here about the Christmas shopping season that is actually upon us here.
How are you guys buying Christmas gifts this year? I made the decision to go Christmas shopping early this year, so I started asking people what they wanted. I started looking online in the store. I'm going to be spending 4 figures on Christmas gifts. Well, actually, I don't think I'm going to be spending it because I can't afford to spend that much money. But I mean, dude, clothes are like $100 plus a piece of clothing now. Kids' toys, like $50+ a toy. Video games are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I'm like, what do I even get people? Like, I think the move might just be, hey, everybody's getting a $10 Visa gift card this year. Go get what you want. But it sucks because, like, I want to make sure everybody feels good on Christmas, you know? I want to make sure they get good gifts. So if you guys know any, cheap places to shop, let me know. Would love to get some ideas because it just seems like Christmas is going to be pretty much unaffordable for not even myself, but for, I would say, the average American.
Wow. Okay, what did he say there? He said each piece of clothing is $100. Well, he's asking for places to shop. I would tell him to shop at Ross, TJ Maxx. You can find things for less than $100. I'm not sure where he got that. Are prices high? Yes. Where else? Of course, Walmart. Do people buy clothes at Walmart anymore? I'm sure some people do. Where else? Burlington Coat Factory. A lot of good prices there. And somebody put in comments, actually, on a video before this. Goodwill. Buy gifts at Goodwill is what people are saying. Some people in comments are actually saying that. In other words, it's the thought that counts. If you get somebody a used item from Goodwill, they should be happy because it's the thought that counts. Stop expecting new stuff in this high-cost environment. All right, same guy, different topic. Still affordability problem, though. Take a listen.
I just saw a stat that says if the average Gen Z person wanted to buy a starter home, they would have to save all of their income for the next 8.5 years. All of their income for almost 9 years. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I feel like I should be able to graduate college, work a year or two, and be able to afford a house. Like, should that not be the norm? Let me know, because maybe I'm just going crazy, but I feel like that should be the norm.
Folks, people are questioning what's going on here, especially Gen Z, the younger folks. They are questioning what is happening.
College really worth it?
And now another video talking about college. Same guy. Folks, younger people are really distressed right now. And people often ask, okay, what's wrong with the younger people? Why are they so angry? Why are they acting so crazy? They're not accepting responsibility. Folks, accepting responsibility is not going to make people afford a $400,000 home coming out of high school. And even most people coming out of college, not going to afford it. What did the guy say? He said, you have to save up all your income for 8 or 9 years. With the average income, the median income that people are making, you'd have to save up for 9 years without spending any of it, just saving it up. But nobody can do that. Nobody's going to be able to save 9 years of income without having some bills or expenses to pay. All right. So in other words, people are never going to be able to save up a down payment for a home. All right. And that's where the younger people are at right now. I mean, it's I read less than 10% of new graduates are actually buying a home. I think it was actually closer to 5%. because they have such big amounts of debt, especially student loan debt. They're afraid to take on that big mortgage. And who knows, with the debt that they have, they may not even qualify for it. Even though they're trying to loosen up the lending, they're trying to get more people into the housing market. You can see the problem here, folks. Also, take a look at the latest news here. Recent news from September.
Look at this. The unemployment rate going to 4.4%. It was supposed to stay at 4.3. It did not. And as you noted, this is a new 4-year high. Now,
a 4-year high, folks, in unemployment. Remember, going back to the beginning of the year, people said I was wrong. I was crazy because I said things are not going to get better. They're just going to continue to get worse. No, JJ, no. The new administration, they've got this under control. Economy is the strong point. Folks, the strong point is doing horribly right now. If that's the strong point, I'd hate to see the weak points because this is terrible. Unemployment rising, prices rising, only 119,000 jobs added, folks. I mean, where does it end? And like the guy said a few minutes ago that we heard from, they're just kicking the can down the road. No solutions, nothing to make things change the course that we're on. So I'm concerned about the young people in my family, right? A lot of us here, including myself, you may be investing and you probably got a little nest egg saved up. Folks, you need a big nest egg when you're saving up for other people because you know they'll never be able to afford a house. So normally I would stop investing. I wouldn't even be working right now. Right? I made a pretty good chunk and I'm not young, but at my age, a lot of people would say, wow, you're doing pretty good for your age. But I'm afraid because the young people in my family and just young people in general are not going to be able to really get ahead unless they're mega investors or unless they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Like a lot of people that we know are born with millions of dollars, but that's few and far between. Most people are barely scraping by right now, folks. Take a look at this, though. To make up for the fact that tariffs raised prices, what are they talking about? Well, first of all, they're cutting tariffs or dropping tariffs on a few items. First, they said tariffs didn't cause prices to rise. Then they said, okay, we're going to drop tariffs because prices are too high, basically admitting that tariffs did cause inflation, right? Now we've got these dividend checks being floated out there, and they keep pushing the date back, right? First, it was going to be, by Christmas, and now we've got reports here that it's moved to mid-2026. So they're kicking the can down the road, and they're dangling the carrot out there farther and farther out to keep people with hope. Okay, we're going to get a stimulus check. Okay, maybe next year. Dividend checks in mid-2026 as deficit impact revised lower, folks. So it's just going to keep going, folks. Where does it end? This is absolutely bonkers, insane, whatever you want to call it. But take a look at this as well. Recent polls are out there saying that people, giving their input, these pollsters, or not the pollsters, but the people that are participating in the poll, that they're doing more harm than good with the economy. More harm than good is what they're saying. And that's not some left wing, that's actually Fox saying that. People aren't happy, folks, across the board. But a lot of people fell for it. They thought that, the prices were going to come crashing down. I was told I was crazy for saying prices are going to continue to rise. There's still going to be an affordability crisis on prices. But rents are coming down a little bit in some cities, but not enough to keep people from getting buried, folks. So hope you're on top of things. Stay on top of the financial curve. Make sure you're subscribed. Drop a comment. What do you think about this video, the people we heard from today? The unemployment number rising to a 4-year high. All right, and we know that's a cooked number. The number is really higher than that. But if you just look at the cooked number compared to the previous cooked numbers, it's a 4-year high. Hope you're all doing well. Happy holidays. We'll try to bring some good news next report. Please make sure you subscribe. Help keep us alive. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Peace.